Bob Maloney from MyMMAnews.com. Coming up on December 1st, I will be in Atlantic City for Ring of Combat 82 with the Tropicana. And my colleague is joining me tonight, and he's going to be there. We're going to talk some fights. Adam Crist, my man, happy holidays. So good to see you, man. We got a lot to talk about. How you feeling? How's the family? What's going on, brother? Fight time.
Fight time, fight week. Everything's awesome, man. Thank you for having me. Obviously, colleagues, like you say, but we used to run into each other a lot more at fights. Now, both of us are working so many different avenues in the fight game that we get to connect on these kind of interviews, and we get to talk a little bit, behind the scenes. But yeah, man, you're staying busy. I'm staying busy. And Ring of Combat 82, it's on the cusp, and it's just a couple of days away. I cannot wait to see this fight. One, it'll be my first ever time in Atlantic City just being there. Two, my first ever Ring of Combat show. And anybody that knows the history of Ring of Combat knows that this show is spectacular. I cannot wait to be there as a fan.
Yeah, listen, there's usually, big history of guys have gone on to the UFC. A lot of guys that achieve excellence at Ring of Combat wind up in the UFC. There'll be plenty of those guys there. And that's what I'm talking. Listen, Adam, you've worked so many shows. You got to be excited to be coming to this as a fan. I'm probably going to see a beer in your hand. You're going to be able to actually cheer, not be working. Tell me about that experience, because it's been so long for you. You really got to be pumped up for that.
I'm super pumped for it, man. And like you said, I won't be having any beers. I don't drink, but I'll be anybody's designated driver for whoever wants me, if we're there for them. But no, man. Yeah, like you said, we work so many events, and we get to see everything behind the scenes that goes on with these fighters, that it's awesome to be able to take a step aside, a night out and away from the work that, everything, the hard work and you put into pre-show, mid-show. I mean, because you're taking notes mid-show still, and then the post-fight production. It's just nice to take a step away and see such an illustrious event like Ring of Combat. And again, like I said, for my first time ever going to Atlantic City for Ring of Combat, I'm just super excited, man. Like you were saying, Ring of Combat, it has such an illustrious history. Ever since 2002, they've been a promotion, and they've done amazing things. Over 100 fighters got called to the UFC from Ring of Combat. I mean, their stats speak for themselves, man. So finally getting to witness this in person as a fan and not working for once, man, I'm super pumped. I'm so excited.
Let's talk about, as a fan, you're coming there to see a couple of guys that you have basically grown in the sport with, okay?
Yeah.
First, Ben Coyle. He's a flyweight. He's super exciting. I mean, the last I seen Ben, I've followed Ben's career. I was at some of you and I were together at some of his amateur fights, at Stellar Fights, where you've been for a long time. And then he's gone on to the pros, and he's getting started in his career. I think it's his fifth fight. He's 2-2. Tell me, give people a little preview of, Ben's style, how you've seen him grow. Because like I said, you've been with Ben since the beginning, and it's much more than a fighter relationship, fighter media. Those guys have been there you've been there for each other.
Yeah, man. Ben Coyle is an absolute monster. Good friend of mine on a personal level. It just started through, and this is the beautiful thing also with the regional martial arts scene and watching these fighters grow and be able to establish themselves is with, Ben and Taylor and I also, we'll get to talk about it in a little bit, but I just got to know him just interviewing him from the fight scene, just watching his fights. He is an absolute killer when he gets into the cage. And that's something that I was fond of as a fan, watching his tenacity, watching his aggressiveness, seeing that from the outsider's perspective. It's going to draw any fan in. They want to see the violence. They want to see the hardcore knockouts. And Ben Coyle, he was delivering them nonstop in his amateur career. He's taken the step to the pro ranks now, and he's found some success. He's had some strides of bad luck, let's say. But again, he always comes win, lose, or draw. He's coming for a finish. And he's willing to die on his shield, and he's willing to go out there, give it his all. And anybody that knows Ben Coyle knows what they're in for when they see a Ben Coyle fight. He's coming in to take your head off. And I expect this to be no different. He's fighting against a very, very talented Hector Iglesias. Super talented guy. I'm taking nothing away from him. But again, the question was me knowing Ben on a personal level, getting to watch him grow. He's an absolute monster, and I expect him to go in there, win, lose, or draw, ready to take someone's head off.
Excellent. Listen, Ben, like you said, I think Ben, high energy from his walkout. He always has a high energy walkout, you know what I mean? And into the cage, and he's a lot of fun to watch. So listen, so is Taylor Pierce. Listen, Taylor Pierce, even though he came out on the losing end of his last fight, it was to me, I was there cage side calling the fight with Jay Regabuto and Ali Quinta, and it was the fight of the night. It was an amazing performance, and Taylor doesn't make excuses. I know for a fact that he went into that fight with a shoulder injury. I mean, I talked to his coaches and his teammates, but Taylor refused to pull out of that fight. Put on a fight of the night performance. He did lose, but he's coming back. Tell me a little bit. Taylor is like such a savage, such a dog. Guys like Taylor and Ben are like the meat and the potatoes, and the beef stew of regional MMA. Those kind of guys, because it's not just in the cage where they're doing well, but at the gym where they're helping other guys get better and get tougher. And that's Taylor Pierce for me, man. Just a grinder, and another guy who you get in there, you're in for a dogfight. Talk to me a little bit about your guy, Taylor Pierce.
I see Taylor Pierce almost every weekend at a fight cornering one of his fighters. What he does how he's able to walk a fine balance of being a professional full-time fighter as well as a professional full-time coach. It's baffling to me because he does it all he makes it look easy. When I talk to Taylor, y'all never get any stress off his back. And I know for a fact, knowing Taylor, he's had one of the roughest years of his life. And again, that's his own personal information, but I know he's had a very tough life or a very tough year. But when you talk to him, you would never guess that. It's, man, my guys, they're ready, bro. I mean, he's always positive. He's always happy. He's a ball of energy it's just infectious. And when he fights, his gas tank, it doesn't end. He comes in there, and what you see from the opening bell is going to be the same energy you see at the last bell. He's in your face the entire time from start to finish. And I think that Marquez MMA has done phenomenal things for both Ben and Taylor. I think they're doing absolutely incredible improvements in their game. What Marquez MMA is doing up there. I mean, as you know, they're working with the likes of Joe Pfeiffer, Andre Petrowski, Pat Sabatini. I mean, we can go on, we can name drop forever here, but what I'm getting at is they're improving so quickly and vastly with Marquez MMA being their head source of training. I mean, I know that Taylor Pierce, he is one of the head trainers at Jack's Kickboxing Gym as well, so he's able to get some work in with those guys. But what Marquez MMA is doing with those two is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, it sure is. And listen, like you said, give a shout out to the coaches. You named some of the guys, Sean Brady, also Coach John Marquez. We got UFC veteran Jonathan Webb, who's over there and underrated. He doesn't get mentioned of Mike Wilcox, the wrestling coach. Great coaching staff over there. And it's that way, Adam. Listen, you and I have been blessed. We have come into this era of MMA and combat sports right now. And even though COVID tried to block it somewhat, right now it's thriving. We have so many great talented artists in the area, and it's just been awesome. Adam, talk to me a little bit. My man Adam, listen, for you who don't know Adam, you should check him out. My man is a rock star on the mic. Give some shout outs to to your promotions that you're working with and all, and give some love out, because you're working hard, and dude, I love what you do, man. I'm not just a friend, I'm a fan, man. I love you got so much flair and style, and I love what you do. Give some shout outs.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. Honestly, with my ring announcing, I've just kind of picked from people that I've seen through the years that I can take some things from and kind of put it into my arsenal as well. You being one of them, Bob. I mean, if you remember correctly, I was doing the post-fight interviews while you were doing the ring announcing at some of the promotions. So it's you, it's Steve Peacock in the regional scene. I mean, there's so many ring announcers in our regional scene, let alone outside the Golden Standards, the Buffer brothers, everybody that you can learn from. But anybody I can learn from, I'm going to learn from, and I 100% have. And it's definitely helped me. I've definitely started to succeed more post-COVID, gotten a lot more calls with a lot more shows showing interest in my ring announcing style, very in your face, very loud, and a lot of energy, high energy announcing, I like to call it. But yeah, so I work with Gut Check Championship Series. They gave me my first shot when ring announcing was never on my radar. Their ring announcer called out sick one day. The promoter, Greg Pritchett, said, "Hey, do you want to step in and do this?" I went home and got my suit and got sick in the process because I was absolutely terrified to ever try ring announcing. As 100% the truth. Went home, got my suit, got sick because I was absolutely nervous, went on to ring announce. So I work with Gut Check Championship Series. I work with Freedom Fighter Promotions, a Muay Thai promotion that's based, a lot of which our shows are out of New York, but they've taken me a lot of places, man. Miami a couple months ago, Chicago earlier in the year. Out in Thailand, I was in April earlier this year at the illustrious and historic Lumpini Stadium. Anybody who knows Muay Thai knows that stadium, and getting the chance to announce at that stadium was one of the highlights of my life, let alone my career. I work with RFL, that's a mixed martial arts promotion, relatively new, based out of Rahway, New Jersey, with former World Series of Fighting veteran Ozzy Dugolubov. Great fighters there. Tons of UFC talent just coming in and out of the doors. Last show, there was Glover Teixeira and the Poatan Alex Pajera just walking around the venue, just like no big deal. So, I mean, yeah, man, Stellar Fights I'm still with to this day. They're doing big things with Delmarva Sports Network. Trying to think, and USKA. And recently I picked up with Gary Grant, and our guy David Harr started announcing with USKA. So I've been very, very blessed to pick up a lot more shows recently, and always looking to pick up more shows. If there's ever a weekend available, I will announce any fight. So if any promoters are looking, holler at me. But yeah, man, I appreciate you noticing. I appreciate you saying something. It's something that wasn't on my radar, that I never thought I would have a passion for, but I've definitely found a passion in it. And it makes my weekends, man. It's a thrill for me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Listen, if I'm not mistaken, that first show that you're talking about when you got sick, I'm pretty sure I came to that show because you invited me and my wife, and we came there, and I remember you being disheveled because you had to go home and get a suit. So
Right.
that's just so ironic that happened to be the first show, and I was actually there. That's how long we go back, my brother. Adam Crist, my man. Find them on MyMMAnews.com. Find them on Instagram. Find them on Facebook. Find him anywhere. He's my man. He's my brother, and he does great work wherever he's at. He loves the sport just like I do. Thanks for your time, brother. Always nice talking to you.
Can't wait to see you this weekend, man.